What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really hired, Mr. Stark?
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host without any sound effects, Roddy Cat, and it's just me. That's pretty much it. You got me for tonight. So, unless one of the other guys tends to make it somehow, but I think you just got me, so hopefully it's going to be a short show. If it's not, then wow. So with that, you can find me at RoddyCat on Twitter. That's RODDYKAT no underscore. Thank you very much. And unlike my other co-hosts who do have underscores in their name, there is Agent underscore 70 on Twitter and Instagram. There's PCN underscore Dirt on Twitter, who also runs Pop Culture Net on Twitter, also popculturenetwork.com, and the subsidiary ineedcomics.com. Then, of course, there is Tim, DOGG98, aka TimDad98, at Tim, DOGG98 on Twitter. He also runs the KLIQ Nation Twitter account. That's KLIQ NATION. And also the CB Cron Twitter, and of course, thekliqnation.com, where you could find this show, or at least you can live if you're watching. And thank you for that if you do. And hopefully we will get back to putting up these shows on a fairly regular basis. Also, like I said, for myself, News Nerds Need on Twitter, and also CB Caps Instagram, and my News Nerds Need Reddit. So you can go check that out. You can find this podcast. Come on, focus. Thank you. You can find this podcast on Google Play and iTunes. I don't know what's going on with my camera, but hey, we're gonna work. We're gonna pop with it. Which, if you're listening to the audio of this, doesn't even matter. But you should come check out the video sometimes, because sometimes we saw some pretty decent things. Google Play, Apple Podcasts. You can go check us out there. The KLIQ Nation SoundCloud. You can go check us out there. You can also go to cspn.us, because we are on the Coastal of the Podcast Network, and that's at cspn.us. And you can go check us out along with other fine shows of different varieties, or somewhat different varieties. It's a lot of good stuff, though, regardless. You should go check it out. And shop.cspn.us for some merch from this show and other shows on CSPN. You can go to that link, go check us out, and go buy some stuff. Go help us out. I will get to some announcements later in the show, but like we normally do about this time, I'm going to be talking about this week's comics. And like I said, I don't have any sound effects, so that's one less thing I need to worry about. So I'm probably just going to do a couple of these and then do rapid fire, because there's a couple of them I just kind of glossed over in the end, but some decent stuff regardless. Marvel 211 number 9 is the book I'm going to start off with at the top. The events of last issue. Well, we found out that Ben and Johnny were powerless, and they were hiding out still on Battleworld, which they were trapped on thanks to Rocknet and Doom leaving them. But they're also on the hunt they're being hunted by the Spider, who a couple of issues back they had some dealings with. Ended up killing the Battleworld version of Doctor Strange, excuse me. And the Spider was not so happy about that. So yeah, he's been on a hunt from that, but he has really nothing to do with this issue or much on this issue, because we found out that we don't find out, but Ben had been getting Amadeus Cho to send out some multiversal message to 616's Avengers or anyone else that could, come try to help them get home. which hasn't gone through. However, a fake version of the Fantastic Four from another multiverse happens to intercept said message and comes looking for our duo, which leads Ben and Johnny into a fight without their powers, by the way, because they've been because it's been a couple of months since they've been stranded on Battle World, and yeah, they lost their powers because of their connection to Reed and Sue has faded. However, they hold on their own because, hey, even without their powers, they still have their their battle sense. So they did pretty good for themselves on this one, and was able to get away from the Mad Thinker, who was basically Mr. Fantastic. And yeah, that whole thing was weird. Because there was a kind of a doom-like thought to Mad Thinker, but we're not going to get into all that because it kind of doesn't matter as much as the fact that Ben and Johnny kind of get away and get into an issue. But at the end of the issue, I would dare say that we are somehow closing in on FF #1, which came out last week. But if you've read FF Fantastic Four #1, then I don't know, it might seem weird, kind of, because someone shows up that they've been looking for, or at least one of the people show up. Could be a version of the person, or could be them actually. Although we are led to believe it is actually the person that they're looking, one of the people that they're looking for, based on what I've said just a minute or two ago. So if you think back on that, but that was the end of the issue, so we don't know what's that about. And again, it seems weird because of what happens in. Well, it's weird, but it's not weird, because Fantasy Four #1, it doesn't necessarily tell you. You kind of figure there are some things going to come back into play, especially with, like I said, Ben and Johnny being powerless. So that's kind of a thing, and we find them back on Earth on that one, but we're not talking about that because we've already talked about it. So you can kind of put together some things from that, but it's weird because Fantasy Four #1 kind of, I don't know, still has things in the same situation as they were at the beginning of Marvel 2-in-1, this current series, sort of, or at least from what we've led to believe. But anyway, that is Marvel 2-in-1 #9. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good issue. I enjoyed reading it, and I was kind of curious, like I said, after reading Fantasy Four #1, and I kind of wish the other guys were here because I'm curious as of their thoughts. Like, we've been talking for the last couple of months about, how 2-in-1 is going to connect to the Fantastic Four coming back in that book. And Fantastic Four #1 doesn't necessarily give any of that away, although it kind of sends us down a road. But we weren't sure if Marvel 2-in-1 was going to be a direct lead into said that. It could very well still be. We don't know, but the way it's doing it doesn't seem like it. I don't know. But they're definitely inching. They're definitely chopping it closer and closer and closer. So that's the thing we're going to have to keep watch on for the next couple of months. And now that I think about it, Fantastic Four #2 is going to come out next month, and we kind of already know what's going on, what's going to happen in that. So we'll see how they play that out. Next on my list, I kind of wish I had graphics for this, because I should have done that before now, because some of these covers are great. But Miss Marvel #33. This is one of my favorite books. I love Miss Marvel, and I have since for a while, since the book started. Let's be honest. Sorry, I'm doing some in here. If you can hear that, if not, great. Then I just told on myself. But yeah, Ms. Marvel is always a treat. I love Kamala. She's an awesome character, and The book's just been great. But in this issue, she is fighting the Shocker after finding out. Well, I said this last time, but it's not even that, because her and Bruno have been kind of experimenting on the on her power set. You know, the weaknesses, the strengths, where the powers manifest from, how they manifest, that kind of thing, and it caused them to go haywire. And basically, is, if you've been reading for a while, one of her weaknesses is like either electricity and or shocks. Real heavy shocks kind of make her weaken her powers. So after the experimentations go kind of haywire, none other than the Shocker shows up, coincidentally, and gives Kamala a run for her money. You know, a low-level Spidey villain, Shocker, yeah. But it's kind of cool. It's I enjoyed this issue because they're, you know, Kamala's kind of trying to wrestle with what's going on with her powers, but at the same time she's trying to chase down the Shocker. The Shocker's kind of made himself home in Jersey City, or New Jersey, I guess. Probably Jersey City, more than likely, because they didn't go that far. And it would seem that the Shocker is a fan of Rube Goldberg, aka, and also not aka, but also Acme Contraptions, because he sets up this elaborate thing in his above ground layer as opposed to underground layer. That was pretty interesting. And if you've checked out my CB Caps Instagram today, you will see what that contraption looks like, or at least one of them looks like, because it kind of goes a little bit. But nevertheless, it's a good issue. And also on the side of that, we see Bruno still trying to, you know, get his science on, trying to figure out what's going on with Kamala's powers. And he kind of, you know, science. And science is not pretty, nor is it neat, let's just say. Because he starts off something that seems reminiscent of something that happened in the past with him trying to mess around with stuff. But we'll see where that goes. Next book, though, since I am going down the line, Star Wars Lando Double or Nothing #4. So I believe this is the penultimate issue of this miniseries. We find a younger, aka pre-soloed movie, Lando, doing his Lando, and but he's doing it for money as well. That's kind of redundant. It kind of goes without saying, actually. So Lando's being Lando, but he's trying to help out this lady who hired him to free her people from being enslaved by the Empire. He gets into a little trouble with the Empire himself, but he gets out of that in this issue, and finally gets to go and help out the people properly. And as I say in my notes, let's see, Lando deals with ice spiders, before that TIE fighters, which are basically stiff flying spiders, which probably not ready, but whatever. And kind of sort of his feelings for L3, his droid, which was a weird way to start off the issue while they're being chased by the Empire. But hey, that is what it is. But later on in the issue, he has the most Lando of inspirational speeches that he gives to the people that are being enslaved, which sets off, surprisingly, you know, them trying to escape. You wouldn't have thought that something like that would have actually worked, especially coming from him. Nevertheless, it does. They're trying to get out of there, and that's where the issue ends. I should skip that one and come back to it, but I probably won't. So I will say Exiles #7. Now this was an issue because, so if you're familiar with the Exiles, it's a group of mutants most of the time. Oh, I see a typo. Sorry, squirreled. Mostly mutants that are kind of out of time, and they're sent to fix gaps or problems with the multiverse. Which, given the shape of the multiverse, especially after Secret Wars and everything else, is still kind of crazy. But we're gonna let that go past. So Exile 7 is kind of them starting off. Well, they're in the middle of starting off a new adventure because they fixed one problem, which ended up, as in true Exiles fashion, causing a death, or a death ends up happening because the team historically kind of changes members every now and then because something always happens. But in this issue, we find this new team of Exiles, or at least what's left of this new team of Exiles, back in the Old West. They meet up with an Old West version of T'Challa, whose book I would really like to see. I don't know if this is I can't remember what year this is set in, but I know it's 18 something, and it's not 1842, I believe. If you remember that miniseries. Or it's 1872. I think it's 1842. I don't remember. Regardless, it was the Old West version of the Marvel Universe. So, or I guess you can go to those ones regardless. But the rest of the team are there. They're looking for one of their members who got captured by a version of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, or so we are led to believe. Because what we come to find out in this issue is that even that said Brotherhood are serving this preacher kind of crazy person, kind of crazy version of Professor Xavier, which seemed like Blink knows of. Maybe they've dealt with him before, or a similar version before. Or maybe it's just because it was a version of Professor X. And they have dealt with, previous iterations of Exiles have dealt with a version of Professor X being the bad guy before. So that could be the very reason why she was, was like, no, not him. But a plan gets hatched to free themselves and the other Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. But come to find out, they got captured, by the way, by a couple of old members of Exiles, that being Morph and Nocturne, if you're familiar with the series. But also in this issue, in true Exiles fashion, some things happen, and some people get presumably dealt with, or and including a thing that I was like, that found me tweeting to Saladin Ahmed, why'd you do that? That's crazy. But you should read this issue, or if you're not reading Exiles, it's a pretty good book. I've always enjoyed the past iterations of, or at least what I've read of the past iterations of Exiles, and Saladin Ahmed, does right by the past version so far, 7 issues in. So you should check that out to see what happens, and I guess to see if the Exiles could have a new member, which we found out already that they do. So they also may be losing another member. Well, they did already, but I mean, maybe possibly losing another in addition to. Anyway, I've said enough about that. Exile 7 is pretty good stuff. And now we get to we go to the DC side of things with the only DC stuff that I've read this week. So if you've been following Comic Book Chronicles for a while, you will know that I have been a fan of the Hanna-Barbera books that DC's been doing. with the Future Quest stuff, but also the DC / Looney Tunes crossover stuff that they've done every now and then, or at least for the last couple of years. So we have 4 new entries into this. I'm still trying to find one that can be on par with the Elmer Fudd Batman one. I may have possibly found a potential. I want to reread it again though, but I can't say those because if you've ever read the Batman Elmer Fudd special written by Tom King, not Don King, because only in America. That was a good book. Some people didn't like it, but I enjoyed it. It was Elmer Fudd as kind of a hitman. It was going up against Batman. It was kind of a noir field. It was awesome, I thought. Your mileage may vary, but I enjoyed it. So to start off with the ones we have this time, we have Catwoman, Tweety, and Sylvester special number 1. So stop me if you've heard this one. Some witches, and actually I will go ahead and so far as to say that we're at this point rapid fire, because at this point it's all been rapid fire for because I'm just me. I have nobody to bounce anything off of. So anyway, Catwoman, Tweety, and Sylvester special number 1. Oh, and I should point out, so if you don't know anything about these DC Looney Tunes specials, so they're basically taking DC characters, as per stated, and mixing them with DCized versions of Looney Tunes characters. So, just like I said with the Batman Elmer Fudd one, Elmer Fudd was a kind of a hunter he was a hitman, kind of, you might as well say. And it was done in the noir field. Like, some of them have been done pretty well. Some of them are a little silly and not. They've been varying in quality on this one, but they have at least touched on references and whatnot. So they've worked for reasons. Let's just put it that way. So Catwoman, Tweety, and Sylvester goes like this. Some witches, notably Witch Hazel, Clarion the Witch Boy. Well, Clarion the Witch Boy shows up, but he's not much of a factor. But a bunch of witches are at a witch convention, and they make a water cooler bet, pitting. I guess I'm not. It's not entirely clear what the exact bet is, but it's something that pits cats versus birds. I thought for a minute, it was like, wait, are they talking about familiars, or who's the best familiar, or who's just dominant in general? But regardless of that, doesn't even matter. A bet is made, and things go in motion, which finds Catwoman coming across a falling from the sky Sylvester. And yes, Sylvester does talk, because what they do with these DC stuff, like the characters are still the characters, they're just DC versions of them, so they still talk, and they talk just like they normally talk and act, just relatively like they normally would act, in their own universe. And they're basically making it like, hey, these are the Looney Tunes characters are just a part of the universe, as opposed to they're coming in from others. Although I think there was one book that had a Looney Tunes character come from another universe or something like that. I don't remember, but they basically blended the two universes together, or more to the point, brought the Looney Tunes characters into the DC universe, in a sense. So Catwoman ends up finding Sylvester, who, that's one thing. And Tweety ends up coming across Black Canary, because she's doing a thing. So you have these two opposing forces, and they have to meet for the fate of the world. So Catwoman has to defend, has to basically get Tweety and get rid of him. Black Canary has to defeat Catwoman and Sylvester, for the quote unquote fate of the world of their species, or their species types, I should say. So basically, if Sylvester lost, or if Sylvester got taken out, all of the cats in the world, or at least this is from what their understanding is, all of the cats of the world end up going away. And that apparently includes every being with a cat moniker or something like that. So Catwoman, gone. Catman, gone. Wildcat, gone. All those people, gone. So, and the same goes for the bird ones, like, Black Canary is also gone, as opposed to every species of birds, and anyone that's even calling themselves a bird, like Raven, or named after a bird, or Raven, or Robin, or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this lends itself to being like, it first starts off with Catwoman and Black Canary fighting amongst themselves, and Sylvester and Tweety being Sylvester and Tweety. But they both called in backup, which means they called in heroes and villains from their perspective, cat monikers, and it ends up being a big knockdown, drag out fight for, again, the fate of the world, I suppose they were saying. So that's always fun. But it actually was kind of fun because if you know the characters of Sylvester and Tweety, they're kind of being themselves as this other stuff is going on. Tweety apparently has no kind of chill. Sylvester's actually actively still trying to chase after Tweety, and there's a little bit of back and forth between that and, the fights between Catwoman's crew and Black Canary's crew, which goes on the whole issue and ends up being a very big thing. But then they decide to team up and take it back to, with the help of Clarion the Witch Boy, they take it back to the purveyors of the bat. And the story pretty much ends after that. But there's also a backup story in this, to which they basically do a Looney Tunes take. It's in the Looney Tunes style, but there's another backup story that is sometimes a variation of the front story in a different way, or something linked, something with all of the characters, or some of the characters, the main characters that are playing off in this. So that's basically a Looney Tunes version of, either what happened or something similar. So those are sometimes are cute. What happens in this one kind of escapes me, but it was basically kind of playing off of what happened in the main story. And all of these will have backup stories like that. So that kind of says what that is. But that one was was decent. The next one, Harley Quinn Gossamer Special number 1, which finds, the Gossamer is the big hair monster. If you're not up on your Looney Tunes, you may or may not know this, but who can't talk and has big giant sneakers. That's pretty much it. He has eyes, he has hands, and lots of hair and big giant sneakers. So he's at the beginning of the issue, he's in a crate, an Acme crate, of course, and gets washed ashore on in Jersey right after a hurricane, and he's found by Harley Quinn, who takes him in, dolls him up. There's a nice reference to, there's the old Bugs Bunny cartoon where Bugs Bunny ends up in a castle with this mad scientist who created Gossamer, and they kind of play on some of the things that some references in that to us, in a sense. They're being chased by what they thought to be this killer robot, which turns out to be not so much a killer robot, but the creator / friend of Gossamer trying to find them. But Harley is led to believe that it's the Joker because the robot has this big Joker smile on him, so which sends them on a chase to find the Joker and deal with that. And that in itself was kind of amusing because we find Joker in the midst of trying to kill Batman, and things happen from that. And the story goes on after that because it comes to find out that the Joker was not the one who sent that robot. And yeah, and Team Rocket's blasting off again. So yeah, there's that, and then the backup is again a similar theme because it is actually referencing the Bugs Bunny cartoon that I'm mentioning, where Harley Quinn ends up going to this, gets lost and going to this castle where the mad scientist slash inventor slash creator and Gossamer live, but it doesn't get to the hijinks that Bugs Bunny kind of, well, it kind of does and it kind of doesn't. There's a lot of puns and yeah, things like that. So that one was okay. But the next one we have, which may possibly, I need to reread this one again, but this one probably might be my favorite of the four. And that is the Joker Daffy Duck Special #1, wherein so Daffy Duck's basically mad at Acme because they won't honor his lifetime guarantee or something like that. I don't know, but he ends up going to Gotham to this abandoned, or not abandoned, but to this Acme plant, which, you know, so he can get his, so he can talk to somebody because he couldn't. Comes across the Joker, who's basically offing one of his henchmen, and comes across Daffy, who do some quick thinking, tells them that he's with the henchman service, the Acme henchman service, and he starts working for the Joker. Which, you know, the comedy ensues from there because, you know, Daffy being Daffy goes to enact a bunch of changes, you know, in the henchman group. But then it gets to a point to where, okay, Daffy found out what one of Joker's plans, and he's not down with it, even though, like I said, he kind of was with it at first, partially because of the fact he was under duress because the Joker was going to kill him when he found him. Regardless, so Daffy goes into a plan and tries to foul up the Joker's plan, which he does, and Batman comes into the scene, of course. But there is a twist at the end that sees Daffy in a predicament that he put himself in, because, you know, Daffy just can't win for losing sometimes. So that one was I enjoyed that one. It was pretty good. The backup to this one was Daffy basically going into Arkham Asylum to try to reform the Joker, which, you know, yeah, think about that one. Daffy Duck is not exactly the most stable person, you know, maybe not always has all of his senses, but nevertheless he does. There's a good reference from the Duck Tracy cartoon. I'm a Looney Tunes fan, so, you know, some of the stuff is good. So I've known about this. Like, I don't know too many people who hasn't seen most of the old classic, or at least a lot of the old classic Looney Tunes, but there might be some people who don't know. So there's a reference to when Daffy played Duck Tracy, but not necessarily, you know, directly. But like I said, most of it is basically him trying to reform the Joker in a cell, and there's another reference to, you know, Harley as Harleen trying to do the same thing, but that gets one and done. So, and again, like I said with the other ones, that's done in the Looney Tunes style. So it's a thing. It's that, like I said, this issue as a whole is probably my favorite one so far. Out of the 4 books that came out this week, from that event thing. So I enjoyed that. But the last one is really quickly, and this one I kind of skimmed, so I don't necessarily. I probably need to go back and reread this one anyway, but I kind of think I got the gist of, because I was trying to read a couple of books before doing the show, which is slightly why I'm a little late, but regardless. And that is Lex Luthor, Porky Pig Special #1. So in the beginning, we find Porky Pig, who apparently had a business and he was on top, and, you know, and things were going well until which is some stuff that you can see in the news, kind of, you know, some thing happened and his business goes down, and he's, you know, he's down in the dumps because you know, he was up on high, and now his business is just down because of, I think it was a hacker issue in his chief of security, and something, you know, some things happened which caused him to lose his business because, you know, he had to take an L. So he's been down in the dumps, and he's working in his restaurant, and comes across and gets a job from Lex Luthor. So, who I think knows about what happened. You know, I mean, didn't seem like anybody who didn't know about what happened, or at least in this version of the universe that is going on, what happened to him. So Lex gives Porky a job as his head of social media, because LexCorp is trying to do their own social media platform, and Porky, who says himself doesn't know that much about social media, is put in charge of it, and a few other things in the company. But he finds himself not being able to take care of some stuff that comes up, and also there are some things with the social media platform that are not quite right, because it's LexCorp, of course. But there's a musings page where Lex is trying to show off said, you know, social media platform, you know, in Jobsian style, and they're doing a live demo on stage, and of course there's a tweet, because it's basically a Twitter kind of clone, so there's those parallels there, where a tweet that would probably not be seemingly for such a platform gets shown on the screen during a live demo, and you know, that causes some problems between Lex and Porky, and it goes on from there. Like I said, that one I have to reread because I didn't really get fond from it, but it was like, you can see the parallels there with what I just said. The one thing that this book did actually bring up is the fact that, where in the world is Petunia Pig? Like, she shows up in this issue, or at least the version of her shows up in this picture, and they say what happened to her in this issue, but I was like, she doesn't really show up in the Looney Tunes that much anymore, at least as far as I know, because I don't know if they're even making any more new Looney Tunes. Well, they are. I know they are, now that I think about it, but regardless, I haven't seen them. So yeah, so those are the 4 Looney Tunes DC crossover books for, I guess, this year. Well, not even this year, because they had some of a few months ago, because we did talk about them then. I don't know if they're going to do any more this year, but I can't imagine what they have left to do. So they've also been doing those. They've kind of been blending some of the crossovers with the Hanna-Barbera stuff too, because there have been, so the Hanna-Barbera stuff has been kind of completely separate universe, but they have had a couple of like DC Hanna-Barbera crossovers, and those were the last ones they did a couple of months ago. Like, there was a Aquaman Jabberjaw one, Black Lightning, Hong Kong Phooey. That's separate from this, but there was kind of a similar vein of crossover where they basically DCI's the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, that they characters that they use. Some of those were pretty good, but you know, these are, I don't know, these crossovers have been, at least some of these crossovers have been a little bit more interesting to me. But some of those were actually pretty good. Like the Hong Kong Phooey Black Lightning one was interesting and weird. I kind of actually would want to see a book of them two together. Weirdly enough, you know, Hong Kong Phooey being kind of slightly could be a problem. I don't know at this point. Like, you know, I grew up in a different time, folks. Anyway, that is the DC Looney Tunes crossovers for that. And I think the last book I have now, which is the one I just skimmed right before starting the show, and that is Extermination #2. So this is the big X-Men crossover book for this year, or crossover title for this year, where it's kind of centered around the young, time-displaced X-Men of the original team. We find that someone's been snatching basically been targeting and snatching the young members of the team. At this point, they got a couple of them. There's been a couple of people that are dead, not from the original displaced team, but from other X-Men related characters. Spoiler alert: Cable, the old Cable, as we know, is one of them. The other one is a version of Storm, who was a vampire, which I did not know too much about, but nevertheless, that was, which I neglected to mention this last time. I was like, yeah, it's always the black people that get killed first in these things. Anyway, and young Iceman, and as of this issue, young Angel have both been taken. The X-Men at large are trying to put a plan together because an old villain named Ahab is involved, and Rachel knows fully well about him. So, and who has a part of this some kind of way, but they're not sure how. And they're trying to figure out who. And they're at the end of last issue, they found out that there is a young version of Cable who was the one who killed the two characters, including who killed the old Cable and the other Bloodstone character. So we're still trying to figure out what that's about and what he wants with the Young Times Displaced X-Men, which hasn't necessarily come out yet, but nevertheless, you know, things have been said. So the X-Men try to executive plan to where they try to split up the rest of the young original members so they could protect them, but young Cyclops ain't having it, and which causes the second person to eventually get caught because, you know, they're outside talking and then a fight happens and then he gets caught. So that happens. And also we come to find out that as they're trying to, you know, split up the young crew into into 4 teams that are going to be being protected by other members of the X-Men. Young Jean Grey was like, no, I'm not going with this team that you want me to go with. She wants to go with X-Force, which basically are the killers of the crew, of the X-Men of the crew. So, and I think there's a possibility that she might be with them, or at least according to solicits, that she might be with them permanently. We don't know. That's what I've seen some articles speculating on that. But we'll see how that plays out, because this is still a thing that's going on, but it sounds like that could be a permanent placement for young Jean Greasy. But yeah, Extermination 2, I'm this is another one I'm probably going to go back and reread too, because I kind of just like to kind of skim through it. But the gist of what I just told you is going on there. And Extermination 1 was a pretty good issue, I thought. And this one seems to be pretty good too, from what I've read and skimmed. You know, how that fares for this event book, we don't know, but we'll see what coming out of it. It's not like the first time the X-Men have been up against Extermination. Definitely not the first time the X-Men have gone up against some of the people, or at least a couple of people that are involved in this. So there's a couple of moving parts that are going to get rectified in the next couple of issues, I'm sure. And as far as I know, this is not crossing over into any of the other X books, at least not yet from what I've seen. So I don't know if they're keeping it just to a main issue, which is great, because I get, you know, granted, I'm not reading in many of the X books anyway, so it kind of doesn't matter on that front. But I kind of hate it when when event books cross over into books that I'm reading and subsequently not reading, which, you know, and a lot of that stuff doesn't end up being a whole lot of times germane to what's going on in the story. Some of it is, some of it isn't, you know. But this one seems to be going in standalone fashion. I could be wrong about the fact that it's going to cross over with other X books, because we just hadn't got to that point yet, or I haven't read them, because, like I said, I don't really keep up with the X books yet. And I don't remember seeing anything in the back of the book about that. But then again, I could have just glossed over it. Regardless, that is Extermination 2. And that is the end of all of the books that I've read / skimmed. So now, oh geez, I just remember something I need to do. So, but before we do that, I'm going to get to the clicks of the week. And unfortunately, I only have a couple, because listen, the other guys are doing, you know, handling life stuff. But luckily, a couple of them sent me their clicks of the week over our back channel. And the first one I have is Agent 70's pick, which is Marvel 2-in-1 #9, which he says sadly is the only book he's read this week. But, you know, that was a good book regardless. So, you know, I think Marvel 2-in-1 for, I can safely say half of the crew is the one that we kind of is in the pile of books that, hey, you got to get to this one first, you know, because of what's going on. And it's just been generally good. So that is a pretty good pick from there. And we also have Tim's pick. And I don't think he said anything about it. He just said that it was. Yeah. Extermination #2 is Tim's pick. So Tim being a big X fan, that's, you know, not outside of reason, but Extermination has been so far pretty decent. So that's not to say that it's not without merit. For myself, this is a kind of a toughie actually, because, you know, anytime Miss Marvel comes into play, and it's usually pretty good to warrant it, I would generally go ahead and pick that one. And that's not to say that it could not happen in this case, but nevertheless, it's kind of a cross between Miss Marvel 33 or Exiles #7, even though Exiles #7 kind of caused a reaction to me that was like, oh man, really? But like I said, you can read that for yourself if you get around to it. So I'm going to quickly try to suss this out because there's no one else here. I'm maybe thinking, because of said reaction that I had to it, you know what? No one else is here to stop me. I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to do that. That's I was about to say, I'm going to just do both of them. It's going to be Miss Marvel #3 and Exiles #7 because no one is here to stop me. So yeah, Exiles #7. I'll go with that one. Like I said, Miss Marvel 33 was really good, and the whole Rube Goldberg pages / acting contraption thing. I love that kind of stuff. So, you know, that will get me pretty much anytime. And again, Miss Marvel is a great book. You should really check that out. You know, it is. I know some people would like to say that it's geared towards, one, a younger crowd, and two, girls. That's not the case. I mean, comics are for mostly everybody, except for Comicsgate people, because they're trash. Anyway, we will get to that later on in the show, but not that much, because that's a really tiring subject. Now, since that is all dealt with and all nice and neat, and I totally forgot to do this earlier, we were going to do an ad read. Actually, I forgot to pull this up earlier. So hopefully I can find this really quick. And common sense would have been like, hey, why don't you have a link to this? And you know what? I am telling myself that. I'm telling myself, I agree with you. Here we go. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something with that just in case this comes up again. But nevertheless, let's put out a script. I am not going to do that one because I should do that one. Next time there's one I keep threatening to do, but I'm not gonna do it this time. I've done it before. It's kind of funny. Let's see. So we'll start off with, here we go. Our first ad read for tonight is for Funko. Fun at first sight. Fun at first sight, folks. Your home for exclusive collectibles, apparel, and brand merchandise. You know about Funko Pops. Come on, don't act like you don't. If you've not seen them, you know somebody who knows them. You know me. I collect them all. I don't have any handy, but notice Funko Pops. They're cute. They're fine. They come in all shapes and pop culture references. You should go get some. They're good. Actually, you probably shouldn't, but they can be addictive. Regardless, And now, for the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles podcast, you can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show for free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. And then click on the Keep Our Podcast free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10, all one word, for your 10% discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. They got a lot. They have stuff going all the time. So, man, if you should be able to find some Funko stuff. Good stuff. So anyway, we are now going to the news section. Kind of wish I did have the sound effects, but I didn't. But I don't have mine set up and ready. Nevertheless, that doesn't matter. The show goes on, and so do I, with the cinematic news. And I'm gonna try to get through this relatively quickly. First off, Legendary acquires rights to My Boyfriend is a Bear graphic novel. Hollywood Titan Legendary Pictures have acquired the rights to yet another graphic novel, because that is the thing to do in these streets nowadays. Just good for the comic creators and what have you. I can't say that it's shown to be reflective in comic book sales as much. It goes back and forth on that, but nevertheless, it is a thing because comic books to movies and TV shows are a big thing, and I feel like they're trying to kill it, just like they've done with young adult novels and everything else that happens and that gets to be popular and big and a thing, But we still have cop shows, lawyer shows, and medical shows every few years. So you think that's an aside? It kind of is, but nevertheless, it is a thing. So according to a Variety, Legendary picked up Oni Press's My Boyfriend is a Bear graphic novel written by Moana co-writer Pamela Rabone and illustrated by Kat Ferris. Rabone will write the screenplay, and executive produced with Alex Hertzberg, Joe Nazamak, and James Lucas Jones and Charlie Chu of Oni Entertainment, who will team up with them to co-executive produce. And production duties are by some other people. So My Boyfriend is a Bear is about Nora, who finds true love with a flannel-wearing 500-pound black bear after a succession of bad relationships. Can you imagine being in so many bad relationships that your best option is a bear in the flannel? There are people out there screaming yes right at this very moment, and I feel your pain. I really do. However, their love is put to the test because, never mind, I'm not going to go there because that's probably not a good thing to say. Anyway, however, their love is put to the test by hipsters, friends who don't understand, and the bear's hibernation cycle. I've never read this, I don't know. But it's a thing that is coming. We don't have a date for this yet, but hey, at some point it'll be out there. You can go check it out. Again, stay away from, some real life allegories, probably. Next up, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 delayed indefinitely by a report. So, given the hubbub, actually, I just thought about something. I should have moved something, but I didn't because I'm tired of talking about it. But nevertheless, we're gonna do it anyway. So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy has been kind of up in the air because of the hiring. Because of the firing of James Gunn within the last month or two. People thinking, people are protesting, and people are up in arms, kind of, sort of, for rightly so, kind of, sort of, it's because it's a real bad look all the way around, realistically. And we've already talked about this before, so we're not going to go back into it. But it was kind of bad form for Disney the way they handled it and the reason why it happened. Yeah, that's kind of bad form, but at the same time, look, it's Disney, it's their company, they can do what they want, and they clearly have shown to do that. So it is what it is. And also, I will say again, life comes at you fast, and things tend to come back at you. So you got to be careful in these tweets about what you put out there, because James Gunn put out some really bad tweets. Like, granted, it's some 20-year-old tweets that got him fired, and they were really bad tweets, and people were like, oh, he's changed, but they only say that for people they like and or people, you know, certain people, I would say, certain type of people, I should say. Anywho, that is the thing, and Guardians has been delayed indefinitely. Yeah, according to this, the timeline has been pushed out, and an unnamed source told the Hollywood Reporter. So we don't know. Like I said, this is just a report. It could, you know, it could be on hold indefinitely. It could come back to light at some point because, you know, yeah, things. It's wow, it's a situation. And in that situation, Batista's still out there, you know, defending his friend and slams Disney, calls out outright personality who got Gunn fired. So again, we won't have to go back on that. But yeah, he's still out. He's been out here for a time. And boy, it must be nice to have a friend like that who sticks up for you when they, you know, when things happen. Yeah, I'm just gonna let that roll because there's things I can say on both sides of that, and yeah, we've talked enough about that. That was the only reason why I'm just bringing it up now is because it comes up. You know, there's not much has changed with the situation, and which is the reason why I haven't really been putting it in the lineup. So anyway, moving right along very quickly. Marvel Studios talking to Taika Waititi about future work, possibly Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I don't know. That's me speculation, not them. So yeah, apparently Taika Waititi has had meetings with Marvel Studios, possibly for future work, according to Hollywood Reporter. You know, coincidence that is around the same time as the Guardians things going on. Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. But he's already a busy man and just doing some stuff. So we'll see. I mean, and it could be the fact that, hey, Thor Ragnarok was a really good movie that did well for them. So, hey, we want you to do some more stuff with us, just like they did with the Russo brothers. It could be just as simple as that. And that has nothing to do with the other issues that's going on. Although one could speculate that, hey, none of this talk was really going on after Thor Ragnarok came out and was such a big hit, and that the fact that this stuff is kind of being whispered about now could maybe have more significance than we're thinking. Regardless, it is at this point rumor, speculation. Moving right along. Fans translated the Wakandan text on Black Panther's suit, and it's really sweet. So apparently there's an Easter egg in the Black Panther movie. And some folks on Reddit apparently use the Wakandan translator, as there are a few different ones of the Wakandan alphabet. And apparently there was some lettering on T'Challa's suit. Let's see. As it powers up, if one looks closely, there is a scroll of Wakandan text that flows across the chest of the suit. With careful timing, the text can be seen and translated. And using the aforementioned translator, it says, or at least it's stated to be said, one prominent snippet towards the middle of the screen reads, "I love you, Mom," according to what this is. What this says here. So, yeah. Next up, actually, oh yeah. So, well, anyway, if you're watching the video, you'll see that I'm scrolling, that I have the articles up as I'm reading this, which is the thing I tend to do. And there was another thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to put in the lineup. Not necessarily comic related, but kind of is, because these things have comic book ties. Because some of you know about Nixplat, and that's the service that is basically the rebirth of the old Nickelodeon cartoons from the 90s-ish era, well past my time, that are seeing new light again on, we thought was a new service, or I think they may be doing it right now on one of the Nickelodeon channels. I'm not sure. I don't have Nickelodeon. Sorry. But apparently a lot of those shows are now out on streaming. And it is called Nick Splat as opposed to, actually, I think that's what it was originally called anyway. So that stuff is out there and you can go get your 90s on. I know all you 90s kids are like all over it with that. So have at it. Enjoy. I don't know if it's a standalone website or if it's like I said, it could be just on Nickelodeon's website. Regardless, I'm sure if you haven't by now, you will find it. Maybe they'll be on other streaming services like Netflix at some point. If I come across another article about it, I'll put it out there. Anyway, Wesley Snipes is actively developing 2 ideas for Blade 4. I'm holding up 2 fingers like y'all can see me. Wesley Snipes teased fans that he could soon return as Blade thanks to discussion with Marvel Studios about a potential Blade 4. So yeah, if you didn't know, Blade was the movie that could be credited. I would argue is credited as being to setting off the MCU while not actually tied to the MCU. But the current slate of Marvel films could be credited back to Blade, the first Blade movie starring Wesley Snipes. And Blade was a great movie. Blade 2 was pretty good. I still haven't seen Blade Trinity yet, but I hear that's not so great. But regardless, and obviously the Blade, movies were based off of Marvel Comics characters, so there is that. So if there's going to be a Blade 4, then that could be something that's going ahead with, and maybe possibly tying it into the MCU at large. We'll see how that works out. I mean, you could do it. I'm sure there'll be, they've had marvelous ways of tying things together in the universe. So, but apparently Wesley Snipes was speaking with Vice to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Blade, which has happened by the time this episode comes out. I'm not sure the exact date. Wait, does it say? I don't know if it does. Regardless, 20 years ago, Blade. I'm feeling old. Snipes confirmed he is currently working on a way to continue the franchise and says there is a lot of conversations going around right now. We're very blessed to have the enthusiasm and interest in something coming from that world again. Now, okay, we see Blade 4, and yes, the Blade license is falling back to Marvel. In fact, I think that happened a few years ago. It says here 2012. So yes, I remember that. I think a couple of things came along in that. Excuse me, so I'm smelling something real weird in the house. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I don't know what this other Blade project he's talking about. But it says here it could be working on a Gritty Blade TV series. Granted, hey, guess what? There's already been one starring Sticky Fingers of the rap group Onyx. Yeah, I know not too many of you people know that one, but that one kind of lasted a season or 2. And I do remember there was supposed to be rumors of a Blade series starring Blade's daughter, basically. I don't know if that's this, because that was something rumored like last year or so from what I remember, but nothing came to light on it. And there was also, as this article says, Kate Beckinsale sparked a rumor of a Blade Underworld crossover from a couple of years ago. And I don't know if that's actually ever going to happen or not. Regardless, hey, putting Blade back in the MCU proper, that could be interesting. But so we'll see what happens with that. Because like I said, nothing of the other Blade projects outside of that one TV show has manifested yet. I think there was even supposed to be another. Yeah, there was supposed to be another book starring a comic book starring Blade's daughter. Now I know the Marvel Knight stuff is coming out, and I think Blade is supposed to play a part in that. Whether it's a book gonna come out of that or not, we don't know. Or that Blade's daughter thing with a full Richardson attached to it, as I remember from last year, rumored is going to still come out. And because they haven't said anything about that in a while, and which kind of leads me to believe that they probably just swept it under the rug, but I don't know. Regardless, that's a thing. Fans demand the Captain Marvel trailer in hilarious video. So apparently some fans made a... Oh, Jesus. If you're watching the video, I'm looking at the start of the trailer where you see 4 dudes in questionable mask and one dude kind of looks like something himself wearing a cap jersey. I mean, a cap t-shirt. Apparently, this group of fans in Atlanta, Georgia, really want the trailer. So for 2 minutes, they delight in cavorting homemade masks in front of a camera, shouting their demand for Marvel Studios to release the official Captain Marvel trailer stat. Because that always works well. And yeah, I have not watched this video. I feel compelled not to, because just looking at this thumbnail, this is at best questionable. Not saying they didn't do it, but yeah, 4 dudes talking about they want the Captain Marvel trailer. Dudes are basically been the problem in comics lately, or in general anyway. But it says here, in addition to issuing a deadline, programming their love for Larson, and randomly breaking into French, the fans in the video, all of them male, as the article points out, make a compelling point about the MCU's first movie led by a female superhero. Women, they argue, have had the benefits of seeing plenty of quote-unquote beautiful boys in Marvel's film. It's time for us to have a beautiful, strong lead woman. I mean, part of that is questionable, but they're not wrong. Like, you know, the whole... You know, anyway, to drive it home, there's a brief gallery of Marvel's men and their abs to set the refrain for nobody. Okay, see, again, questionable at best, but I'm sure their heart... You know, I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not even gonna finish that statement. Their heart was somewhere. We don't know where it is, and yeah, that's the thing. You can go seek it out if you want to. If you see in the video, you see where it was. Disney streaming service has a name and potential price point. So Disney's must discussed subscription streaming services report. So how to say that 5 times fast is reportedly called Disney Play, and will cost viewers less than the competing Netflix. So I feel like that part has already come out before, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong. So there's new details about it, and in a variety feature about efforts by Disney and the rest of Hollywood's old guard, quote unquote, to catch up to Netflix and its imitators. The House of Mouse' answer, of course, is its own branded streaming service targeted to launch in 2019 with such heavy hitters as a live-action Star Wars series by Jon Favreau. We've talked about some of the stuff that they're supposed to be having in this said service. There's some Marvel shows and some remakes that are supposed to be happening on the service as well. So can we get to a price point? So, okay, according to this article, which looks like speculation, the fees could be lower than 8 to 14 for Netflix. There's an analyst said that it could be like 6, which, I mean, that if I'm not mistaken, the DC service is supposedly around that price, so that will be comparable to that also. Which, it's a streaming service, you know, it's Disney. Granted, they have deep pockets and as much of a deeper a deeper bunch of IP that they can throw on the service. So it could very well be worth it if you're a Disney fan and a fan of its properties, one being Marvel, the other being Star Wars, and like I said, Disney in itself and Pixar. So yeah, they have the stuff to kind of probably make it work, whether it will or not. Streaming services, there are a lot of them at this point. Too many, I would argue. So that's the thing. We'll see more of that in the future. Robert Downey Jr. gave Chris Evans a Captain America themed Camaro. For what reason? So yeah, they're friends, and so apparently in the latest episode of Jay Leno's Garage, which I didn't know was still on, So where he goes around and you know, he's a big car nut, so he goes around showcasing weird cars and whatnot. So apparently, Leno showcases a 1967 custom-built Camaro that Robert Downey Jr. gave to Chris Evans on the set of Avengers: Infinity War, and you can see the thumbnail of said car. Which, and not being a car guy, looks pretty cool if that's it. So yeah, there's a video out there on YouTube. It says Camaro's Captain America theme without being obvious about it. Instead of having the obligatory red, white, and blue color scheme, the vehicle is far more muted and features the dark military paint that seems to call back to Steve Rogers' days in the Army. So, I mean, from this picture, it looks like the blue shields kind of suit. But again, I'm not looking at the video, and I can only see the still on. So it says the steering wheel features a silver Captain America shield logo, and the interior of the car contains a commemorative plaque, which reads 1967 Camaro RS, Steve Rogers, Special Edition, custom built for Chris Evans by Speed Core. Don't know who Speed Core is, but I imagine they pimp people's rides. So yeah, that's the thing. That's a hell of a gift. Must be nice. Why wasn't it a motorcycle though? Anyway, Alice Eve's Typhoid Mary shows her faces ahead of Iron Fist season 2. So yes, we have known for at least a week or two that Alice Eve is going to play Typhoid Mary. Alice Eve has done a lot of stuff, most notably Star Trek Into Darkness, where she played Carol Marcus. And so she's going to be Carol Marcus, and apparently this is the picture off of interesting. Here's a couple of pictures off of the Iron Fist Instagram showing Alice Eve, which okay, sure. Iron Fist season 2 is going to be shortly coming. Now that I think about it. Yes, September 7th. I have still yet to finish watching the first season, but I'm only I'm on episode 9 still. I can blow through that. That's not a problem because I did start it, but I had other things come up. So by the time this comes up, I can. Who am I kidding? I still got to watch the other stuff, so I'll probably get to it when I get to it. First season so far has been all right. But moving right along, Tom Hardy signed on for 3 Venom movies. Nobody wants the first Venom movie. That's just me speculation. You can Comic Book Chronicle. You know what? Don't do that. Never mind. I was going to say something. But hey, if you have it, you got thoughts on it, let me know. I don't know. Let us know if you wanna. But I think it's safe to say that not too many people want this. Oh, okay. So I apologize. So shout out to Matt Wang, who is watching the show live apparently, and I hope who is doing well. And there we go. So he says, actually, let me see. Wayne likes tea. Wayne reads no books this week, but he will hop on during the news and represents like a B version of Agent 70. You know what? I kind of wish I had you on the show. We need to get you back on the show, Matt. So, but I know you're busy with the little ones and all that you do. So, thank you for coming by. As you do, we appreciate you all the time. He also says the Blade TV series on Spike TV. That's right, it was on Spike. Only lasted 1 season. Yeah, I never actually got a chance to watch it, and partially because of interest or lack thereof, but because it didn't have Spike TV. So because I have the very basic cable package from AT&T, which sucks. And I lost my other links to my other connection to to other streaming services, sadly. So kind of asked out for the time being. Anyway, Matt also says the announced Marvel Blade series with his daughter by Tim Seeley was pulled by the writer. He did not feel like he could do it well. and he sends me a link to said article. Okay, so thank you for that. I knew something happened with that, but I wasn't sure why. And wow, this is from a couple of years ago. Wait, I feel like we may have talked about this. Like, yeah, it's because he's giving me this article from a couple of years ago from basically IO9. And I feel like I have seen this before, and we may have talked about it back then. I just don't remember. So yeah, Tim Sealer was supposed to write the book, and apparently it didn't happen because of what I just said. Matt told me, which, given the light of I wonder having to do with, you know, having creators of color and also or creators, you know, of not male creators on books is a thing that should be happening more often, but is not, although it's slowly starting to. I wonder if that could be his reasoning for why he said he couldn't, or he just generally felt like he couldn't do it. Because that's the thing that rarely ever happens in comics, you know, without a reason or two. So thanks for that info, Matt. Appreciate you. But yeah, back to this Tom Hardy thing. Nobody wants this. Who cares? I don't want this. Let me first. I'm speaking for myself. And I think we have talked about it before that not really many people, especially since it's not going to be in canon with the Spider-Man books, because, you know, Venom is a Spider-Man character. Why? Anyway, hey, guess what? Venom's coming out October 5th. It's a thing. It's going to still happen. Wait, this is the same thing. You know what? Who cares? I don't care. I'm moving along. Star Wars Episode 9 enlists Lord of the Ring actor Dominic Monaghan. So Pippin, wait, is it Pippin or Mary? One of the doggone hobbits. You know that name. And yeah, he was on Lost. I've still yet to see a whole lot of what Lost, and I don't care to, so don't at me. So according to the Deadline, Monaghan has been added to the cast in an undisclosed role. It's his second major film franchise, you know, because, oh, Mary, thank you. So it is Mary. I was right. Well, no, I was wrong, because it was Pippin Solitude. He was also in Duncan Jones' Mute earlier this year. So good for him. I guess they're going to blow out Episode 9, because not only is he going to be a part of the cast, but we've come to find out that Matt Smith, the Doctor Who, that's right, folks, Doctor Who is going to be in Episode 9. Let that sink in. The Whoverse crosses over with, which is actually probably not the first time, now that I think about it, that the crossover, and I'm probably just blanking on who else was in it. Regardless, Matt Smith, what is he done? You know what? He was Doctor Who. I think he was like 10th Doctor. I don't remember. I lose track of whoever the heck was who. No, wait, he was the 11th Doctor. Regardless, you know Matt Smith. He was Doctor Who as recently as a few years ago. I know my Who cred has already been shot because of that one, and I'm not going to look it up because research kills podcasts. So they keep telling me. Regardless, let's see. Sources tell Variety that the Crown Star Matt Smith will be joining Episode 9, which is currently in production in the UK. It is unknown whether the Doctor Who alone will be on the side of the Rebels or the evil Empire. I'm going to go ahead and suit my side and say he's going to be for the Empire. I'm just saying. Most of the Empire have British accents. Or excuse me, they're usually done by British voices / British accents. I'm just saying. Now, yes, Daisy Ridley and both John Boyega are playing rebellion characters, so that's not always the case. But I'm just saying, the Empire has always had a more British spin to it. You don't need to take my word for it. You can go back. There's like 8, 9 movies that kind of can justify my thought pattern. It's not a hot take. It's just the truth. Granted, with the exception of Darth Vader, played by James Earl Jones. Whatever. Don't at me on that either. But you know exactly what I'm saying. That said, again, yeah, Doctor Who and Star Wars meets. This is going to be interesting. Matt Smith's cool. He seems to be all right. I'm kind of surprised they didn't try to get Tenet. But it is what it is. Or maybe they did. We don't know. They chose Matt Smith for a reason. Not saying he's not a good actor. He was a pretty good Who. Anyway, this new featurette introduces the characters of Star Wars Resistance. I have not watched this trailer, and I am going to do so. So, Star Wars Resistance is the new animated series coming from Dave Filoni and crew, the same folks behind Clone Wars and Rebels. Both great shows. I still need to catch up on the last season of Rebels, although I kind of hate to because it's the last season and onions are going to get chopped. I already see it, probably, even though I've been slightly spoiled on one or two things that may have happened already. Anywho, so the show's, the third animated series from the same crew, like I just said. In the featurette, he explains that the show's main character is Team Fireball, not to be confused with Team Rocket. That was me doing that. Aren't caught up in the larger conflicts between the Resistance and the First Order. Instead, they're focused on the challenge of earning a living by racing speeders and starfighters, but from a base called Colossus. Definitely not to be confused with the X-Men. And this article kind of goes through the names of the character. Apparently, again, as we found out previously, Poe Dameron is going to show up at some point, and one of the characters meets him. So yeah, I need to check this out because I am looking forward to seeing this show and its different style. So that's cool. Arrow fans will never guess Arsenal's season 7 role, Amell swears. So the Arrowverse ambassador Stephen Amell, who obviously plays Green Arrow, arguably the most vocal of the Arrowverse folks. Whether by his own, by his own choice or, by the fact that he's being tasked, which I don't know. He seems genuinely, into the things. Regardless, he says it's fantastic. I guess this was, where is this coming from? It doesn't matter. So Colton Hayes, who played Roy Harper in Arrow, is coming back. We've talked about that previously, and apparently a lot of people are excited by his return. Stephen Amell says it's fantastic, man. I love Colton, so having him back is terrific. And his stuff this season, I could give you an hour to guess, to pontificate. Wow, that's a big word from him. As to what he's going to be doing, and none of you would get it. It's amazing. Amell shared, so he's hyped for it, but hey, we'll see. And I heard season 7 is supposed to be a little grittier, and harking back to season 1. I still haven't watched season 6 yet, which I know is out on Netflix, but hey, things. And other people chimed in on it. I guess there was a they were talking to a bunch of people. So yeah, a couple of people chimed in on it too. So I don't know. I don't have any guesses as to what his role is coming back to it, but I'll take Amell's word for it. Hey. Supergirl's Melissa Benoist, is excited to see Kara interact with Batwoman. So yes, Batwoman is coming to the Arrowverse, as we already know. And I would say this is coming out of Comic-Con, which I'm going to assume that last bit of news probably also came out of. Benoist responds, I'm so excited to see Kara interact with Batwoman, as if the title didn't give that one away. Throughout the seasons, Kara has had a few funny, quippy lines about Batman and her opinions on him. She kind of always thinks Vigilante are nuts. Not terribly wrong. We've always had those funny little moments, so I'm excited to see her meet Batwoman and see how they interact. It might be funny. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and put this as why I'm behind on all these shows. So, but I enjoyed Supergirl, not for lack of any interest in it. It's just other things been going on. So, in addition to her thoughts on Kara Zor-El and Kate Kane rubbing shoulders in the crossover event, Benoist also explained what else Supergirl fans can expect in season 4. I'm not going to go into that. Just to say, hey, it's going to be different. Some things going on. So, because I haven't seen season 3 and I want to. And I will at some point. It's just a matter of me getting to it at some point. Hey, guess what, folks? Alec Baldwin cast as Thomas Wayne for the Joker movie. Again, a movie that no one asked for. However, just this was according to Deadline, but just as quick as that happened, Alex Baldwin's Thomas Wayne cheats death by quitting Joker movie before it even films. So basically, yeah, they say Alec Baldwin, or I guess there was either rumor or report that Alec Baldwin was going to be playing Thomas Wayne in the Joker movie. That's also the Joaquin Phoenix movie. The one, not whatever the other one is, I should point out. But Baldwin took to Twitter to say that, and I will quote it here, "Let me state for the record that I have not been hired to play a role in Todd Phillips' Joker as some sort of Donald Trump maniac. That is not happening. So, because supposedly this version of Thomas Wayne is supposed to be a Trump-like, Trump-like magnate. So, and also as a tie, coincidentally, Alec Baldwin has played Trump on SNL a few different times. So that's, according to this article, that, that is a thing. So, yeah. Oh, wait, but it now seems he's going a step further. Speaking to USA Today, the offers terse statement confirming that he was leaving the film altogether, citing scheduling issues. And he says, "I'm no longer doing that movie. I'm sure there are 25 guys who can play that part." Ow. I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, like, look, unless they're planning on doing, the Thomas Wayne version of Batman somehow in this, yeah, he shows up for a couple of minutes and then dies. We've seen that many and plenty of times. But apparently, anyway, that Joker movie is still on. Again, no one's asked for it. I don't know why this is happening. And I think there's going to be two of them. There's still going to be two of them. Why? Don't know. Uh-oh. I didn't mean to do that. So there is that. Poop. Moving right along. Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam definitely having a script. Has a script. Because, yeah, this one's kind of been up in the air. But given the Shazam news that came out during Comic-Con, I guess he basically wanted to kind of put it back out there, say, hey, we're still good, still happening. Hey, don't count us out. Even though I don't think anybody's been asking nor looking for it. Although this Black Adam film is supposed to be standalone and not, if that is still a thing that is happening, not, as we know or as we have heard so far, not connected so much with the Shazam film that is coming out later this year. Although, things could happen. It could be a mid-title thing, and they might show some Black Adam. We don't know. Although I think they had ruled that out sometime a while back. So we'll see what happens with that. But hey, still happens. Still has a script. Light of day. We'll find out. Constantine animated series. Oh God, my voice. Excuse me. Constantine animated series to air on the CW. So if you've not checked out the CW Seed show, which was pretty good, by the way, from earlier this year, and I think there's another one that's coming out that's going to be in movie form, but it's pretty much the continuation of that. You should go check it out. It's pretty good if you're a fan of Constantine. Constantine, actually, the movie is on Netflix, by the way, and I have never seen it, but I am going to. Regardless, there's going to be and I know a friend of mine who is a big Constantine fan for reasons I'm not even gonna either speculate, although I have good reason to know. I mean, she just likes Constantine and the like, but not to make it salacious or anything. Anyway, Constantine: The Legends continues, which was originally broadcast on the CW's digital platform, just like I just said, as Constantine: City of Demons will be broadcast on television this October. So they're basically putting out that CW Seed show on TV, which is weird because that's can't take no longer than like 30 minutes because it was only like 6 chunks of little small bits, which equaled up to about 20-30 minutes. So this this is less exciting than I thought was going to be. Anyway, the special, hosted by Constantine actor Matt Ryan, will air on Monday, October 15th at 9 p.m. Immediately follow the Arrow Season 7 premiere, which I believe Matt Ryan, who is also on Legends of Tomorrow at this point, and has had some episodes of Arrow. So that makes all the sense in the world. The 1 hour special will be followed by a sneak peek at the upcoming 4th season of Legends of Tomorrow, which, like I said, we'll see Ryan, who reprised his fan favorite role in live action, will with exclusive interviews with the cast and crew. So you know what? They could have just brought back the live action show, which was on NBC, and put it over to CW. Even though, yes, there are a glut of comic book shows, and believe me, I am painfully aware of this. But that Constantine show was pretty good. Now, it was on NBC, and it was at a really weird time frame, and it was after Grimm, which is it's kind of a similar show. So I assume they had reasons for that, because I guess they felt that, well, hey, it's Grimm, it's the same thing. Well, wouldn't they, But whatever. It didn't need to be on NBC on that show, because. And it ended with a cliffhanger. That was the thing about it. And a good cliffhanger at that, which I wanted to see, but we will probably never see the light of day on. And that's sad. So yeah, they're basically they're putting the CW Seed Constantine animated thing back out on TV for a night. I was thinking it was going to be like an ongoing animated series or something, which I should have known better. I really should have. So if you haven't seen it on CWC, you can tune in October 15th, which I guess, another thing about it, hey, in time for Halloween, perfect timing, I guess. Or shortly before Halloween. Regardless, yeah, that's the thing. Let's see. Wait, what is going on here? Oh, I think I missed one. Supernatural's Jensen Ackles meets Red Hood again in new photo. So yeah, Jensen Ackles of Supernatural fame, a show that actually probably needs to die at this point, played Red Hood in played the voice of Jason Todd, I should point out, in Batman Under the Red Hood. Thank you. And I think he's done some other stuff since then with DC Animated. I can't remember, but that one definitely he has done. So yeah, here is a picture of him on his Instagram with the Red Hood costume. So yes, Jason Todd meet Jason Todd, blah 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 blah. So that's cool. Anyway, speaking of Batman the Animated Series box set adds digital copy, changes release date. So this is the Blu-ray box set, which we've talked about before, of Batman the Complete Animated Series. I believe this is also including, so this is the first 2 seasons of Batman Animated Series, and I believe the and Batman and Robin and the new Batman Adventures also, I believe this is included, which is like basically season 3 and 4 of Batman TAS. But as you can see here, this is going to have a lot of stuff in it. So it looks like it's got 3 Funko Pops of Batman, Joker, and Harley, season discs, and apparently, according to this article, it's going to have digital copies, which, I have a DVD copy of that whole series. I don't necessarily need a new copy of Batman Animated Series, but I'm kind of seriously thinking about it outside of that digital copy part, because I'm stupid like that. Nevertheless, October 30th, the collection is coming out, also just in time for Halloween. Let's see. So a slight delay from the previously announced October 16th. Excuse me. And like I said, it's going to be 3 Funko Pops, which might be a draw. It's not enough for draw. I could just go buy pop sets. But anyway, the set also includes a series of lenticular art cards. Lenticular is basically the art cards where the cards, or like the covers, that kind of have like, you move them a certain way and they have 2 different images on them. you see one image one way, you see the other one the other way. So if you did not know what that was, they made covers like that, and yeah. Let's see. Oh, the acclaimed animated. That's right, because they did say they were going to put it on the streaming service, which is coming up. Which I know they're starting to do stuff for. Because I know there's a daily thing we talked about last week that Kevin Smith is doing. When the platform launches this fall, it's all in all its high definition remastered glory. So yeah, also around the same time as the streaming service, then this set is going to be out. So at least you don't have to be beholden to the streaming service to get your Batman animated fix. But I figure like anybody who would like this probably already has a set. That's not stopping anybody from getting something, because Lord knows I've got a couple of different sets of things that I didn't necessarily need to do. But yeah, that is the thing. It is coming. No price. I think we may have already gotten a price for this previously, but it's not saying a price here. I would imagine that's got to be at least a good $80 to $100 easily. So that's the thing. Go get your fix. Speaking of DC Universe's Titans series premiere date is revealed. So there's a live action. If you didn't know by now, we've been talking about it. It's been over the places. There's going to be a live action Titans show based off of the team that is going to be on the streaming service. I am slightly debating on getting this service for science, because I feel like, although I'm sure there are people, maybe Tim will get it, for and talk about it for CBR. I don't know. I can't speak for him. Maybe will, hopefully will. But I feel like I might end up at least getting the trial service to see what the hubbub is about for the, for the first week or so. And I know with this Titan show, they're releasing them basically like network shows and weekly, and not as. No, wait, actually, I'll take it back. No, I'm sorry. This is not what I'm thinking about. They're putting them all out at one time, like Netflix. So I feel like they did say there was going to be a show that was going to be put out weekly or something, but I don't remember if that's here or not, because all of these streaming services and stuff starting to run together either way. So anyway, world premiere screening of Titan's first episode is scheduled for Friday, October the 3rd, the opening day of New York Comic-Con, which I know. I feel confident in saying that probably, shout out to a friend of the show, Matt Wang, and probably our very own, actually, I do know that Agent 70 is going to be there, because he did mention something about that, which he always goes to New York because it's right there. So whether we'll see something about that from there, we'll find out. After the show's DC Universe debut on October 12th, the 12 episode first season is scheduled to air weekly. Oh, wait, so it is a weekly thing. The 12 episode first season is scheduled to air weekly on Friday. So yeah, so they are putting them out episode by episode and not all together. But either way, the streaming service is going to launch well before that on September 15th, which is next month at the time of this recording. Like I said, we'll see. We will be talking about that in some kind of fashion, whether anyone on the panel gets it or not, or maybe DC would be nice enough to send us review code so we can go check it out. Maybe. Anyway, new Young Justice outside. What time is it? Yeah, oh Jesus! Wow, I can talk. New Young Justice Outsiders clip. So Young Justice Outsiders, which is season 3 of Young Justice, is still happening, as we have said in the past. Here is another clip on it. It is going to also be on DC Universe. I have not yet seen this clip, but this would be the other reason why I would be getting, which is sad, because there had to be a good reason for me to plunk down the money to get that service. And I'm still not saying that there is, but some of the things they seem to be doing with the service could be all right, because it sounds like they kind of have a Marvel Unlimited thing baked into that service, which would also be another compelling reason for me to get this or to try out the service. And this is not a commercial for this, because we don't know. I'm just saying science demands that these things be looked into sometimes. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, that is that. I would be looking forward to seeing Young Justice regardless. That was a great show. And the prospect of season 3 is also great. Deadly Class, Tom Stevens joins the cast in a recurring villain role. So yeah, Deadly Class has been made into a TV show, or is being made into a TV show, and it's going to be on Sci-Fi, or aka Syfy, for the hips kids. Yeah. I still never read Deadly Class. I think there's a reason for that. I'm not sure why. But Tom Stevens will be playing the role of Chester Wilson, I guess known as Face, an antagonist from the male leads Marcus's past that is hell-bent on ruining the lead's present. Yeah. Okay. Sure. I don't follow the comics, so I don't know too much about it, but it's a thing. More comics to stream. Yay. Now we are going into comic book news, and I would like to point out that we have, if you are watching the show live, I tweeted out the show, and there is a link to the show notes in said tweet, and you can find links to the show notes, which would have the clickbait section in it, which has some good stuff that I find out during the week, which we should probably have as an article or something on the clicknation.com, but for some reason we haven't done. I don't know. Go figure. But there's some good stuff like this. Well, we'll get to some of that already. So we start off with the comic book news by saying 10 new woman creator comics to pick up this fall. Some of the ones that we already know, like Jessica Jones, is being written by Kelly Thompson. That's already out. West Coast Avengers came out last week, also already out, or at least started already. Catwoman by Joelle Jones. House of Whispers by Nalo Hopkinson. Don't know that one, but that's in the Sandman universe apparently. Plastic Man, which has actually been a pretty good. I've been enjoying that miniseries by Gail Simone, who also writes Domino, by the way. Man Eaters by Chelsea Kane, who is coming back to Marvel to write. Oh shoot, what is he writing? I forgot. It's not Mockingbird, although that Mockingbird series she did was great. I loved it. Oh, I can't remember what she's. I'm sorry. Well, anyway, but she's got one called Man Eaters. It has something to do with cats. So is this like that movie? That Stephen King movie? Book that turned into a movie. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Juke Joint by T. Franklin is also coming out, and of course, well, wait, yeah, Shuri by Nadia Okorafor is coming out, and I'm excited for that one. I have already expressed my excitement about that when it was announced. The Unstoppable Wasp is coming back out. Now, granted, this is not written by this is written by a man, but it's but hey, this is Unstoppable Wasp. It was good, and it shouldn't have got canceled. I don't know why it did. Still good nonetheless. And I'm just talking about the writers. I apologize for not mentioning the artists, but I have gone this far, so I'm just gonna keep going and saying Spider-Gwen, aka Ghost Spider. She will always be Spider-Gwen to me. Written by Shanann McGuire. I don't know who that is. Wrote by Rosie Campi. So I will have to look up who this person is. But nevertheless, yeah. It says, well, because some of those are women, and some of them weren't even created by men. Or it's not even being written by men. But anyway, regardless, that's the thing. You should go check out some of those books. I would definitely say Plastic Man, I've been enjoyed. I haven't been in West Coast Avengers against my interpretations. That first issue was all right. Yeah. The rest of them I haven't really known. Kelly Thompson's done some good stuff, so you go check out her stuff. Yeah, I'm not gonna spend too long on this one, but Jeff Lemire and Bill Sienkiewicz denounce Comicsgate. So there have been some folks bringing back Comics Gates, oh gee, including a couple of creators that I don't want to say their name. But basically what happens in this case, I believe, from what I remember seeing on tweets, Sikovich got pulled into this because some Comics Gate folks were saying that he would be for Comics Gate, and he came out and said, no, don't you put me in that, Ricky Bobby. And oh, that's right, because it started with Darwin Cook. They said so basically Comicsgate people started saying Darwin Cook would not, as this thing would say, would be down with Comicsgate. His widow said no, and they started attacking her. And they also tried to pull in Sikovich, I believe, and he denounced that like relatively quickness. And it's really a shame that this stuff is going on, because this is stupid. A bunch of stupid dudes thinking that comics are only supposed to be one thing. And I hope, if you know any folks that would be down with this, and I think you probably do, you should smack those people in the head 5 times really, really hard. Because this is not good for the fandom. And granted, dudes, specifically certain dudes, are screwing up fandoms all across the board by doing stuff like this, acting like it's their property and it's that they should be the ones to dictate what's going on. So yeah, but as you can see from the tweet here, one of the people, Ethan Van Sciver, I don't give a fuck. He's an ass, because he's down with this comics thing, and kind of brought that back up for some strange reason. And like I said, Darwin Cook's widow was being all kinds of attacked when she came out and said that Darwin Cook wouldn't be a part of this, even though like sometime after she got attacked, there were some other people that said the same thing, and some things calmed down for it, that's the sad state of affairs. So if you don't know anything about Comicsgate, just Google it, look it up. But that's basically people feel like SJWs are taking over comic books and making everything PC, and it's forced diversification, and it's so stupid, because comics could be and should be, even if it is a fantasy setting, should look like the world we live in, as far as the makeup of it, not necessarily the stupid thing that's going on in actually the world, but and we should definitely have more creators of color and gender, doing, as opposed to the same folks for 80 years, writing all the books and doing all the creations behind it. But that's all necessary. I said I wasn't going to stay, on this very long, but it's just sad when things like that just go on, like it's going on in comics, going on in video games. It goes on in media all across the board, and I just wish all those people like that would just die out. Those whole Comicsgate dumbasses just need to die out. I will go ahead and say that, because we don't need that kind of stuff. And in order for the media to grow, we have to have more perspectives than the 1 or 2 idiots who think they own it. Because I feel like comics are a medium that is very versatile. I've said this before, and it has room for a lot of different things and a lot of different people, to make and do things and express things in it. So it's just a sad state of affairs. That's my opinion. The other people on the cast may or may not agree with it. I don't know, but that's just my take on it, for as whatever it is. Anyway, I said I was going to move on, and here I go. Marvel TV's new Defenders series with original roster. So I think we may have talked something about this last week. I don't remember if we did or not. So, but there's been some teaser images out there from Marvel, with the original Defenders, which were Silver Surfer, Incredible Hulk. Let's see, we got Namor, and Doctor Strange. I keep, you know what? I remember this group from back in the days. Back in the day, this was a weird, as I said on Twitter too. I think Matt Wang actually, like this was just the original odd pairing for a group for a group dynamic. But Marvel has kind of, and I said this before also, Marvel's kind of making old things new again. Like we've seen the champions come back out in a new form, not necessarily the original group. I'm kind of surprised at the restraint that they've not put any of the original champions in said book, although there have been some interactions with at least one in the Avengers. But well, yeah, with that Avengers crossover or whatever the case may be. So anyway, so yeah, so this is, excuse me, I don't think it's going to be, from what this is saying from this teaser, and actually I can go on to this next one, which basically goes into the books in question. So there's going to be 5 books. So there's going to, each character or each member of the team is going to have a book, and and the best defense is basically the tagline of this whole little mini event. So Immortal Hulk is going to have a book. Namor is going to have a book. The Doctor Strange, who's already has an ongoing now, and also Immortal Hulk, is going to have a book or an issue, and Silver Surfer, and it also culminates into a Defenders book, which kind of, if you think about the Netflix, what's going on with the Netflix Heroes books, kind of sort of like that. That I would imagine there was some inspiration from that, but it's not like they have not done stuff like this before. So, but yes, Al Ewing, Chip Zdarsky, Greg Smallwood, Simone DeMeo, Carlos Magno, Jason Latour is doing art and writing the Silver Surfer one, and Al Ewing, which is one of my favorite writers so far, or recently, is writing the Defenders book and the Immortal Hulk book, which is the book he's also currently writing anyway. Joe Bennett is doing the art for the Defenders book. Greg Smallwood is doing the art for Doctor Strange. Carlos Magno is doing the Namor book, which Chip Zdarsky's writing, and Simone DeMeo is doing the Immortal Hulk book. I saw a tweet out there from this may or may not have been a joke, but it kind of makes sense that Kevin Wada was out there tweeting to Zdarsky saying, "Hey, you're doing a Namor book and you didn't have me? What?" So, which, you know, there's, you know, Kevin Wada is known for his gorgeous art style, and would probably do some marvelous art for Namor, and I'm pretty sure there would be a lot of beefcake in it also, because that is some things that he does marvelously. So that is the thing that is coming in November. Let's say yes. Let's say yes. And like I said, those are December, right there in big print. So yeah, December, that's going to happen. I'm slightly looking forward to that. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Next thing you know, they'll be bringing back Ecstatic or something. Where is our Damage Control book? Anyway, Jason Aaron, Mahmoud Asrar, and Esad Ribic lead new Conan the Barbarian series in January. So if you're a fan of Conan the Barbarian, hey, guess what? There's a new ongoing coming. Conan hasn't been back with Marvel in a while. I don't remember when they had it, but they had the license like a long time ago, but now the license is back at Marvel. I feel like that was like 80s, because I feel like I remember, it might have been early 80s or something. I don't know if it says here. But yeah, Jason Aaron. You know, I'd imagine coming off of Thor, and, you know, for what he's done with Thor, granted, it's going to be different, I'm sure, but, you know, I'm sure that lends itself to what's going to go into with this book, which is, like I said, again, slightly different, given the character of Conan. So, hey, that's the thing. If you're a Conan fan, look forward to it. Marvel ties yet another major character to the Venom symbiote's history. And just like back in the 90s, this character is getting way overused with his return, and that would be Wolverine. So this is a spoiler for Web of Venom v. Venom, which is out now. I have not read it, as we talked earlier. I'm not that big on Venom anyway. But apparently, yeah, Wolverine crosses paths with, has something to do with the Venom symbiote, or yeah, whatever. But and being that Wolverine's a long-lived character, sure, why not? So that's the thing. Some sad news. Spider-Woman co-creator Mary Severin dies at age 89, which is sad. So I have heard his name in passing, but I don't know so much about it. But from what I've been seeing out on the Twitters and whatnot, she is an awesome pencilist colorist who has worked for Marvel well before there was a Marvel, because she apparently, according to this, she worked at EC, and then went to Atlas Comics, and then Atlas Comics became Marvel, and then she was working on penciling and coloring, penciling on the Incredible Hulk series for the first 5 issues of that one. She did a lot of Not Brand Ek, which is a series that I'm familiar of and loved and enjoyed. Or at least later iterations, because I mean I am old on this. Well, no, because that was like a 80s thing, the 70s or 70s thing. Anyway, Not Brand Neck. This was the thing that I remember seeing and read a bunch of. She was Marvel's lead colorist for a while, and she also created Spider-Woman, aka Jessica Drew, back in 1976. Designed her iconic costume. And she, in the 80s, she began working on special projects for Marvel, doing a lot of license work because she was so good at her likenesses. So, yeah, she was let go. According to this, she was let go by Marvel during their restructuring following their late 90s bankruptcy, and she continued to work as an artist until retiring in the mid 2000s. So, and I've seen a lot of tweets from creators about what she meant to them, so that's always a touching thing to see, and it's sad to see it's such a prolific creator die. She was also an Eisner Hall of Famer in 2001, so at least she hopefully got some due because of that. Also, the same day, actually, we found this out the same day. Ghost Rider co-creator Gary Friedrich also passed away. Also a longtime Marvel Comics writer who created, according to this, Ghost Rider and Son of Satan, which I never really paid attention who created either one of them. So passed away on Tuesday at the age of 75. I believe Marie Severin had a stroke. That was the reason why she passed. Following a recent stroke, and she was 89. So I forgot to mention that. My apologies. But 75. Gary Friedrich died. I don't know if it says here what from. Apparently, because of this, he had a lawsuit with Marvel back in 2007, claiming that the rights to Ghost Rider defaulted to him in 2001. Which I feel like I do remember seeing something about that when they were trying to get Ghost Rider back into the fold or later on when they were trying to get Ghost Rider back into the fold from for cinematic purposes. Anywho, he lost that lawsuit in 2011, but it was overruled and appealed in 2013. As of 2013, they were going to agree to settlement. I don't know why I just brought that up, but it's a thing that happened. But he's done a lot of things, including Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos, amongst other things. And he was a good friend of Roy Thomas, longtime editor-in-chief, and who Tony Isabella posted on Facebook from Roy Thomas about the passing of Gary Friedrich, and I need to finish this up because I'm starting to lose it. Anyway, my voice. So yeah, that is sad news to creators in a day. Of always a sad thing, especially looked upon folks. But yeah, moving right along. There's no real way to transition from that. Snyder plans the mysterious return of a DC icon in Justice League. Sadly not Icon from Milestone. What we couldn't find out. It sounds like Starman is coming back. Starman is a character that I am not the biggest. I don't know too much about. So we're just going to go ahead and say, okay. And apparently there might also be some Justice Society stuff may or may not be coming back at the same time as this. But, you know, Snyder's kind of playing some things close to the vest, but he just kind of let it out while he was talking that, hey, some things in the works. This character's coming out, and maybe possibly some stuff coming along with him. So, sure, there you go. Oh, so looking at Twitter, let's see. Matt Wang says both Agent 70 and I will be at New York Comic Con. Our tickets have arrived, but we'll be going on different days. I want to see them to do on video, putting a report together from Comic Con, because that would be crazy. I would really like that. Just put them two in front of a character, just going around on the show floor. Y'all make that happen. So let's see. Matt also says that my mother-in-law's good friend was her guardian. Oh, we're talking about Marie Severin. Aw. So that's an interesting tie, but makes it just as sad. I'm sure at the loss. Oh, and I'm looking into so I'm looking on Matt's timeline because I thought I saw something fly by. He also says that she was a class act and that he's so honored that she drew a Hulk piece for him and his wife for their wedding. That's awesome. And he also has it linked to the same article that I have about Marie Severin's death. So, okay. So going back to that again, transitions are hard, folks. Next up, though, we were kind of already talked about it, so we don't have to go through this again. But comics and cartoons collide in sneak peek at DC's Joker Daffy crossover. I've already talked about that book and the other books in that crossover, so we're not going to have to go through that. Sometimes I put the stuff in just in case I don't get to talk about it, but I did. Tom Taylor writes heartfelt farewell to DC's Injustice comic. So after 6 years, the digital debut of Injustice Gods Among Us, which I've read the first arc and I love the premise of it, and I definitely love the game that came after it, that came from it, which is basically Mortal Kombat. Well, it's made by the Mortal Kombat folks, but no blood. It's just Injustice fighting game. There you go. It's a good one, by the way. If you like fighting games, it's a good one. Got a lot of folks in it. Anywho, decent story also, but yeah, it's the fighting. Anyway, DC's Injustice 2 came to an end this week with the release of its 72nd issue, leading writer Tom Taylor to reflect on the series in a heartfelt Facebook post. I'm not on Facebook, so I can't catch a lot of this stuff. So, well. Fans of the video game know that Injustice Universe is a dark and violent place. I just mentioned that. If you don't know the story of Injustice by now, you know what? Batman versus Superman could have made, and we've talked about this before when this came out. Batman versus Superman could have made an awesome Injustice movie. Could have. If they had just kept going with it down that line, it would have been perfect. But didn't happen, and we got what we got, and there you go. So yeah, see, on Facebook, Tom Taylor noted that Superman remains his favorite hero, quote unquote. So writing him as a dictator was initially a punch in the gut. However, the writer said that loving Superman, I think I knew how to hurt him, which is an interesting. Something you don't hear that often. Superman's kind of a hard character to write nowadays, because of his power set and all that. But this was definitely a different take that I thought was awesome from what I've seen of it and read of it. So cool. Oh wait, so Injustice maybe 2 may be over, but Taylor sees the possibility of more Injustice digital comics. Who knows? We may be back one day. And I know there's been a couple of offshoots of that universe that has happened in the last couple of years also. So just check out that that comic. It was good. It was really good from what I've read. I need to go back and finish reading, or catch up rather, because like I said, I read the first arc or two and I'm like, okay, I like this, but just a whole lot of stuff happened and I didn't get around to because there are a lot of comic books out. Anywho, Wonder Woman 51, the overture to Steve Orlando's thesis on Diana. So Steve Orlando's run on Wonder Woman is coming to an end. Started with, I think, this week's number 51. I think that is this week. Yes. So he's going to do this and 4 more issues, and then according to this, Orlando's 5-issue. Oh, here we go. So his issue starts with 51, and then he's going to do 4 issues, which follow James Robinson, which is a writer I also like. But then after that, the series will participate in a crossover event written by James Tynion IV, and then that's when we, as we've stated before, G. Willow Wilson and Carrie Nord will take over creative duties. I'm not caught up with Wonder Woman, but I've been collecting them since, I can't remember whose run I started with, but I know since Rebirth started, I think I've been collecting them. I was reading them off and on also, but yeah, gonna happen. So this was just an article that with an interview with Steve Orlando about what's gonna happen with his books, or with his run rather. So check it out, Wonder Woman fans. Peruse the art of the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, animated series. So apparently there's going to be an art book on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Nickelodeon series. Worth noting, and we've already talked about this, there is another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series that is going to be on Nickelodeon again, coming soonish, I believe. I can't remember, but basically this is an art book that is going to come out April 16th of 2019. It's going to be 184 pages and sell for $40. So if you're a fan, you should go check that out when that happens. Just put a pin in that. C, Hasbro make its first Power Rangers toy, a highly detailed White Ranger. So August 28th was Power Rangers Day. It's worth noting. This kind of came out, yeah, before that, or at least this announcement came out, but I don't think there were any other announcements, which was a bummer. But nevertheless, that was the thing that happened recently. So Hasbro's first Power Rangers figure is a premium, highly detailed look at White Ranger. I could have sworn I have seen some Psycho Rangers figures that could be from another line, from something else. But I've seen Creator 2 showing off with some Psycho Rangers figures. I don't know where that's from. Doesn't matter at this point, but this is the White Ranger, aka Tommy Oliver, after his stint as the Green Ranger, of which he transformed into after that got dealt with and used up. So we're gonna go into this. This also came out during the Power Rangers convention, which I did not know that was a thing. I don't know why I didn't. Power Morphicon convention, which I did see some stuff from, which seemed like an interesting affair to go to if you're a fan. So it's kicking off with a lightning connection of a 6-inch detailed and articulated action figures that will make use of the company's photoreal technology to depict the show's actors. And of course, they start off with the quote-unquote most popular one, as opposed to just like the original folks prior to. But then he's still considered, Tommy is still considered an original Power Ranger, so it is what it is. The process is the same as the one Hasbro already uses for the Star Wars Black Series line of figures, which brings a high detail. Also noting that Hasbro was the one that made August 28th Power Rangers Day, and they also have the license for Power Rangers, and there's also another Power Ranger series coming out, which I don't think I thought I put that in the lineup, but I don't think I did. But yeah, there's a new, we talked about it last week. There's a new Power Ranger series coming out. So yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing. It's coming to stores spring 2019. Will cost $20 in the US. Which actually that sounds like a pretty decent price for that. And here's if you're watching the video, you can see the figure in question, which is the White Ranger and Saba. I know a little bit about Power Rangers, even though it's something that was past my time, at least the American version anyway. So moving right along, Power Rangers fan gives Shattered Grid an anime style intro. Oh, good lord! So yeah, so the Power Rangers book has been going on, and is in fact the conclusion to the Shattered Grid event came out this week. I'm still a couple of issues behind. I wanted to talk about it, but like I said, I'm like good 4 or 5 issues behind, so I didn't get into it. But that Shattered Grid event has been pretty good. I've been enjoying it. If you're a Power Rangers fan, you may enjoy it because it basically blends. So the books itself spans Power Rangers and Go-Go Power Rangers, which I'm not sure why there are two of them. One handles the original team's life outside of the being Rangers, and then one is just them being the Rangers and all out action. That would be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So, and then there's an event that's been going on between the two books, mostly in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, called Shattered Grid. It brings about a whole bunch of Rangers, from different timelines, and the bad guy is basically a bad version of Tommy. Spoiler, sorry. And apparently there was already a death and some things happened, and this one, like I said, it's been pretty good. I'm kind of sort of a Power Ranger fan, and it's been hitting beats, interestingly enough. So yeah, that's the things. But this YouTuber Snappy Nights created a video. I have still not watched it yet, but I don't know what. So it could be stop motion. It could be using panels from the event or something like that. But yeah, there's and I guess whatever music it's using is fitting for the anime style intro that it has. So you should go check that out. It's on YouTube. What comes after Power Rangers Shattered Grid, which is a question I have had myself, writers and editors answer. So Kyle Higgins has been the main writer on, and I think he's also, main writer and the one over this event and the Power Rangers book in general. The main one, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Somebody else writes Go-Go. And apparently his time is coming to an end, and Marguerite Bennett is going to take over Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which is kind of awesome because I love her. I do like Marguerite Bennett. She's an awesome writer. She's wrote Josie, and she's doing some stuff for she's done some stuff for all over the place, but Animosity, which is a book she's doing Aftershock, is supposed to be pretty good. She's written for Marvel and DC, so I like her stuff. She's dope. So she's taking over for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, so that ought to be cool. And this article just basically goes into what's going to happen after Shattered Grid ends, which is, again, the conclusion of came out this week. Oni Dreams Up, Dream Daddy surprise comic debuting this week. So if you're not familiar, Dream Daddy is a video game where it's basically a dating simulator where you are dating daddies. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's been kind of sort of a hit on when it came out, and actually kind of still is. But it's basically a dating simulator in the vein of visual novels, like most of those into doing. And now there's a comic book that apparently just came out on the low from Oni Press. Let's see. You can pick up the first print issue with a cover by Chris Anka at the Oni Press booth at PAX West, which I think that's going on right now, or that is going on right now if I'm not mistaken. Or it has gone on, because I know also Dragon Con is also going on this week or next week. I wish I was there. I'm not. No, Dragon Con is going on this week, and I'm not there, and I'm mad about that. But hey, don't have the money, you can't do some things. And it's just, well, that's a big show to go by yourself, and I've done it a couple of times before, and it gives me the heebies every time. So maybe I'll go back one of these years. Either way, so this Dream Daddy book by Oni is being given away at PAX West in Seattle. But if you're not there, you can pick it up on Oni Press online shop, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be at Comixology at some point, and it does say here, and also actually on Steam. So digital versions of each comic are available monthly on Steam, Comixology, Kindle, and more. So Steam getting into comic books. That's weird. But then again, there's I guess there's kind of sort of precedent for this. But yeah, you can sign up for alerts at whatever site here. So if you are a fan, you can also get it on Google Play and iTunes, and basically the places you know to get it from. So if you are a fan of Dream Daddy, the video game, go check that out, I guess. And then I guess it's an ongoing, or is it a mini? It doesn't necessarily say. So the comics. Oh wait, so here we go. The Oni Press welcomes Dream Daddy, a new comic series based on the acclaimed Game of Thrones visual novel video game. Blah 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 blah. Invites you player to Maple Bay, where they play as a single dad, new to town, and eager to romance other hot dads. And there's a lot of dad jokes in it because I've seen that game being played. The comic series, by the way, tells 5 standalone issues. So, okay, so it's 5 issues. Each focus on a different Maple Bay dad. And I believe I've seen on Twitter that Spike Troutman is writing the 4th issue. Yep, and it's right there. So, and we have the creative teams for all of that. So that's cool. Video games to comics is not a new thing, but this was first time this one's something like, well, it's probably not the first time for even something like this. So cool. Next up, a pair of new Last Airbender books will explore the origins of one of the most mysterious avatars. The world of Avatar: The Last Airbender has already expanded, so they've already got books on this stuff. And FCE, with insight from co-creator Michael Dante DiMartino, will pen a duology covering the life of Avatar Kyoshi. Hey, that name is familiar to me. The Earth Nation avatar that lived hundreds of years before the events of Last Airbender. By the way, Avatar: Last Airbender, also a pretty good show. I still haven't watched Korra yet, but I'm getting there. So according to this, fans know Kyoshi has an interesting. So yeah, if you know about Avatar Kyoshi, she has a quite an interesting story, and this is absolutely true. So The Rise of Kiori is a book that's going to come out June 2019. Doesn't necessarily say when it's coming out. It does say aside from being one perpetual cycles of Avatar, fans know Kyoshi has an intriguing story to tell because she's actually one of the longest living humans around in the Avatar universe, having lived to the age of 230. The core continuation comic Turf Wars even revealed that in her long life, Kyoshi was openly bisexual. So it will be interesting to see if these 2 novels will explore that aspect of her life as well. Probably I don't put too much into that because sometimes I kind of shy away from things like that, but we'll see. No, actually I shouldn't say that. They'll probably do right by it, I would imagine. So anyway, that's coming out June 2019, and the follow-up is still undated. So cool. Avatar fans, go check that out when it happens. Last but not least, Amy Chu receives 2018 Korea Image Awards. So CC's Korea Image Awards honors individuals who spread a positive image of Korea on the global stage. Previous winners have been the singer Psy, former United Nations Secretary Ben Ki-moon, apologize if I'm not saying that wrong, and Pak Sarai, excuse me. Amy Chu, that name should be familiar to you. She's written Red Sonja, Green Hornet, Poison Ivy, Cycle of Life and Death. She's writing Summit now for Lions Forge, Cadus Prime. She's written for for DMC's imprint, DMC, if I'm not mistaken, because I remember seeing her at DMC's panel at HeroesCon. Anyway, but she's been honored with during a ceremony Wednesday evening during the 9th Cultural Communications Forum in Seoul, Korea. The United States Ambassador to South Korea, Harry B. Harris Jr., tweeted out a picture with he and her. So congrats to her. That is awesome. And that brings us to the end of this here show. And me stop sharing screen sharing real quick. But before that, we will get to another ad read. And I'm going to put in this one because I could use a drink right now for Wink, Personalized Wine Club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torrontés, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. You ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your tastes and delivered directly to your door. I remember I was supposed to have something like that, and I didn't do it. I wonder if I can still do it. Anyway, Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your tastes. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now, for the listeners of Comic Book Chronicles, you can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off of your order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website, cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink wines through CSPN. Do it today. I really should start having graphics up for this stuff. And on that note, wow, good Lord, I've talked your ears off. I thank you for anyone and everybody who has come by, who's listening to this. Thank you, Matt Wayne, for watching this. We appreciate you always and greatly. And anybody else who comes by here as well. Excuse me. Pardon me. But with that, I am going to get out of here because I've taken up way too much of a time. But I will say before we go, so one note for next week. Very exciting. We are going to have writer Brian Edward Hill on the show next week. That's right. And hopefully everyone else will be here next week. Or at least the majority of the cast will be here next week for that. But if you have any questions for him, so Brian Edward Hill is the writer of Detective Comics right now. He also wrote Wildstorm Michael Cray and a bunch of other stuff, which we will probably get into when he is on the show next week. So tune in for that. And if you have any questions, use the hashtag Comic Book Chronicles on Twitter, and we will try to get to those when and if we see them. But until then, I be RowdyCat. You can find me at RowdyCat on Twitter, _. News Nerds Need on Twitter, News Nerds Need Reddit. Also CB Caps, that's CBCAPS on Instagram, where I tweet out panels of stuff that I like in comics or I try to do it every week. I don't always do it. But that is that. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. Go check out him out. PCN_dirt on Twitter. Pop Culture Net on Twitter. PopCultureNetwork.com and INeedComics.com for his stuff over there for what he's doing. TimDad98. That's Tim DOGG98 on Twitter. That's DKLIQ Nation on Twitter. That's DKLIQ NATION. And CB Cron on Twitter. He handles all of those sites, but he's also writing for CBR. So go check his stuff out there. We've put some of his stuff in the show notes, not because of he's Tim, but because they were relevant to the show, and also because of him. Regardless, we're proud of him. So go support him, give him some clicks, go read the stuff. He's got some good stuff going on over there. Also, TheClickNation.com, by the way, is his site. You can also find this podcast on CSPN Network. That's Coastal Listen Podcast Network, CSPN.us. Go check out this show and other shows on that network. And a lot of good stuff. Go over there and be like, hey, we love Comic Book Chronicles. Woo, it's the best show. Give us a little bump. Not saying we need it, but I'm just saying, we are in an ocean of other good podcasts, and we kind of want to be recognized a little bit more. That's me saying that. Not, whatever. Either way, it still stands true. You can also find this podcast on Google Play and Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on the Cold Slither Podcast SoundCloud channel on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/cold-slither. You can also go to shop.cspn.us and go get some merch from this fine show and other stuff. I do not have anything to show off tonight because I neglected to do that. But that being said, this is the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. And we will see you next week. Have a good night, folks.
Good evening, Rick.
Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really hired